This is the homework helper for Chapter 12, Section 4 in the 8th grade workbook, Point Slope Form. In the first set of questions here, 1 through 9, they're asking you to use the point slope form of each equation to identify a point a line passes through and the slope of the line. So the first thing we want to verify is that all of these are in slope-intercept form, and indeed they are. Slope-intercept form is always going to start off with the y stuff first. In general form, we would say y minus y sub 1 equals m. Now remember, m is your slope, and then after m, in parentheses, you're going to have all your x stuff, x minus x sub 1. Well, as you can see, all of these are written in that particular form. They all start off with a y something, plus or minus a number, then an equal sign, and then a number, which is going to be your slope, and then your x stuff. So all these are in point slope form, so we don't have to spend any time rearranging these before we try and do what they're asking us to do here. So the first thing they're asking us to do here is they're asking us to identify a point that passes through the line there. So what you want to do is look at your x and y combination, because that's where you're going to find your point. Your points there are actually the opposite of what you see. So for instance, in number 1, where it says y minus 2 equals 4 times x minus 1, with this x, it looks like it says negative 1 if I cover up the x. So it's actually going to be the opposite, is the x point that the line will pass through. So that's going to be 1. And then we'll do the same thing with y. So if I cover up the y, that looks like it says negative 2. So that point is going to be 2. So this line passes through 1, 2. Should be easy to remember because the x value is always with the x, and then the y value is always with the y. The slope is that number that's in front of the x value parentheses there. So in this particular question, here number 1, y minus 2 equals 4 times x minus 1, the slope is 4, or not surprisingly to you, I'm going to write that as a fraction, 4 over 1. So that means that line that goes through 1, 2 is going to have a rise and a run of 4 and 1 respectively. So if they ask you to graph this, that's exactly how you would do it now. You would put a dot at 1, 2, and then from that point you would rise 4 and run 1, and that's how you would graph the line. Let's try that again with number 2. Y plus 1 equals 2 times x minus 3. So the x value comes from the x set in parentheses. Well, with the x there, it looks like it says negative 3 when I cover it up, so the opposite value is the x point. It's going to go through 3. And with the y set of points there, the y value goes through when I cover that up, looks like positive 1, so it's going to be the opposite, which is negative 1. Slope, again, is that number that's in front of the x set of parentheses there, and in front of that x set of parentheses there, I see a 2, or I can write it as 2 over 1, so that line has a slope of 2 over 1. Here's number 3. Y minus 4 equals negative 3 times x plus 1. Let's try this one more time. The x value of the point, cover up what you see in front of the x and tell me what it looks like. It looks like positive 1. So that means the line is actually going to go through its opposite, which is negative 1. When we look for the y value, I cover up the y, and I see what it looks like it says there is negative 4, so it's got to go through the point, which is 4. Notice in each one of those, what am I really doing? In 1 and 2 and 3, I'm trying to make this set of values here, either in the x parentheses or on the y side, end up equaling 0. If we look here, I picked 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. Over here I picked 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. When I got to number 2 and I went to the x's, I picked 3. 3 minus 3 is 0. When I went to the y's, negative 1 plus 1 is 0. When I did this one, negative 1 plus 1 is 0. 4 minus 4 is 0. So you're always figuring out what's going to make that set of numbers, either your x's or y's, 0. M here, m is my slope. My slope here, a number in front of the parentheses is a negative 3. And again, I'm going to go ahead and write that as a fraction, negative 3 over 1. And there's nothing different about any of these questions you'll do down here in 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. Number 8 and number 9 might look kind of daunting because the slope number is something a little bit differently, but that's still just the slope. That's all you have to do.